guys, this is Mr. ETV20 and I'm going to be reviewing Grand Theft Auto 4 for the PS3, Xbox 360. Alright, so to kick off this review, we should start with the story. So, from the very beginning, you get greeted by this horrible image of a fat man being sexually abused consensually by a woman on a cruise ship, which is where you find your main character, Niko Bellic. He's a legal immigrant, and I have no idea where the hell he's from. I'm guessing that he's from Yugoslavia or something, but I could have sworn there was a mission where he insisted that he wasn't Yugoslavian or Russian or whatever. I'm just gonna say he's a legal immigrant, because that's what he is. Anyways, Niko has a cousin, which you are going to learn to hate throughout the game, because he's gonna be asking you to go bowling or go drinking or see some American titties at any time when you're busy. But that's for another time. And at your cousin Roman's apartment, this is where you pretty much figure out the basics of the game. Later, Niko gets a little too ahead of himself and manages to kill a very powerful man, which he will learn to regret for the rest of the game. And as a result, he indirectly burns down his cousin Roman's taxi business and is forced to flee to another part of the city that you were not able to go to before. I'll touch on this later. And as a result of this, Niko is kinda in debt with a lot of people because of his fucking cousin Roman. So, how else can we figure out how to get some real cool and fast money? Well, it's quite easy, really. You can kill a whole bunch of people. That's how you always get by. I mean, it's not like killing people got you in this predicament in the first place. And thus, sets Niko off on his amazing journey to get money by killing people all the time. I mean, seriously. Every mission is pretty much kill somebody or drive here and then kill somebody. Or some variation of each. Because they're all the same. It's just shoot, shoot, shoot. And it's not even all that hard because guess what? With a game that is mostly shooting, you have auto aim. Yeah, way to go with the whole difficulty thing, guys. It really takes the difficulty out of every mission that involves you shooting and you can just aim directly at whoever is shooting at you. I mean, why would they do something like that? I guess because they knew that they were going to have so much shooting in the game, might as well make it a little less monotonous, even though it seems as if they really failed on that part. I mean, I guess it wouldn't even be such a big problem if they didn't make the game so goddamn long. And most of the things that happen in there, they don't even develop the character any. They don't have anything really to do with the story. Maybe a couple of missions, but that's just about it. But I digress. Eventually, you find yourself getting double-crossed by this real douchey guy whose name I cannot seem to remember. And that's pretty much the plot point of the whole story. Eventually, you'll get your hands on the little bastard and you manage to kill him around the end of the game. Well, that's pretty much the story of Grand Theft Auto in a nutshell. So now since that's pretty much done, I would like to talk about the gameplay. In the middle of each mission, you could eventually find some people that you have to kill, but for some reason you feel as if you don't need to kill him, even though I have no idea why Niko would ever have a little problem like this, or what to kill and what not to kill, even though we pretty much go on rampages with him and kill innocent people nonetheless. So, I don't know why Niko is so different about this guy now, or what. I have yet to see any ending or any kind of difference that happened throughout the story because I happen to let this guy go or I happen to kill this guy instead. I really have not seen any difference in the story. And I suppose there wouldn't be too much difference considering that there's only two endings as far as I know to this game. There's an ending where your girlfriend dies, not the first one, she turns out to be a cop, spoiler alert. But your other girlfriend, your Irish friend, who never puts out and is a real bitch. Okay, I really mean this because every time I take her out, The only thing that she ever talks about is how much I kill people and how disgusting I am and then she gets drunk, feels bad for herself, and falls over. That's pretty much the mission every single time. If you ask me, it's a huge waste of my time, and and although Roman really pisses me off, I much rather have him. Bros over hoes, man. Bros over hoes. I already touched on the whole shooting mechanic that I digressed on, but there's more. You can also drive in this game. Yeah, what do you know? A game called Grand Theft Auto, you can drive. Well, unlike most Grand Theft Auto games, or every other Grand Theft Auto game rather, they decided to switch it up in this game and decided that you should not use X to drive, but instead the L and R triggers. Now, to tell you the truth, this really fucked me up the very first time playing at my cousin's house, because, I got into the car using triangle like normal, and then I, pressed X and nothing happened. I was like, what's going on? Why can't I move? Is the game broken? Did I break the game? Like, no, you just have to use the L and R triggers to drive instead. It's very awkward for me the first time, but I suppose I got used to it. I just don't understand why they decided to change that. Did they want to be smooth and new all of a sudden or something? Did they decide that all this time in Vice City and San Andreas and Grand Theft Auto 3 that the X button was too mainstream? I don't understand. But I'll just take a loss with the whole driving thing, because instead of driving, you also have the alternate form of transportation that is taxis. Yes, finally you can actually drive around, or rather have somebody else drive you around the city using a taxi. I wonder why no one else decided to do this ever in the history of Grand Theft Auto. Well, to be fair, in Vice City, you did have a taxi service that you can get into every time you failed a mission that happened to be pretty long or far away. So that was pretty nice. But it wasn't quite like this. And when I say not quite like this, I mean it actually worked back then. You see, when trying to get a taxi, two things can happen. You could either, one, call a taxi, and the taxi can fly right by you, just drive right by you. And Nico would even go as far as to curse out the driver as he goes by. This, as a player, tells me that the game intentionally did it, and the game designers even knew that something like this would happen. Why would they allow something like this to happen? Me, as the player, should be the priority in the game. If there is somebody in the car, which would probably be the reason why they drove right past me, I think the taxi should just pull over anyways, because, me being the actual player is the priority in the game, and I should just pull out whoever happens to be in there and be on my way. But no, they didn't do that. They decided to just like, oh yeah, well, if somebody's in there, then fuck you. You have to wait about 20 minutes, if you're lucky, for another taxi to come by, if that one doesn't have anybody in it. Or, the second thing can happen. The taxi could pull over for you, you call for it and everything. Okay, that's real awesome, this never happened to me before, but let me try now. You hold down that triangle button like it instructed you to enter a taxi, and the game cannot read that, or the game decides not to read you holding down the triangle button, and you can steal the taxi instead. Well, that's just fucking great. See, what I don't understand is why the game designers didn't think, okay, if he would go as far as to call a taxi for it to pull over, and then press the triangle button, I think that the default, at the very least, would be for you to enter the back seat of the taxi. Isn't that what you want? Okay, because worst case scenario about this? Okay, I entered the taxi, I wanted to steal the taxi instead. Oh well, at least I'm in a car, so I can go wherever I need to go, or I could just get out, try again, and steal the taxi. Just a couple of seconds gone, right there. Instead, if you steal the taxi by accident, the cops will be on you, and now you can't go get out, say I'm sorry, and get in their taxi. No, now you gotta find your way and get out of the way of the cops. Unless you just happen to want to be in that situation and go on a rampage or something. But that never seemed to be the case for me when playing this game. I hate the taxi service. When playing the game, you can also go to this airport. You know, every Grand Theft Auto game has an airport. It's have a whole area dedicated to it. But I noticed that all you can really do is ride helicopters. Now, I have nothing against helicopters. Helicopters are awesome. I love riding helicopters, especially when you can shoot missiles out of them. But why would they give you a helicopter and not let you ride an airplane? I love riding helicopters, but I don't love riding helicopters if that means I can't ride airplane. I would much rather ride a freaking jet than a freaking helicopter. I never rode the helicopters in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas because I can always ride an airplane instead. Or a jet, even better. They even have giant airplanes, which you could have stolen, hijacked in San Andreas, but for some reason, now all of a sudden, oh, that's too good or too bad for Niko Bellic. Niko Bellic doesn't do that kind of stuff. That would have been too fun to hijack a freaking airplane and fly it around and as far and as vast as you want. Damn it. Well, alright. I pretty much said my piece, so without any further to do, I suppose I should say my final thoughts. Let's see. I do not like how these people that are apparently your friends can call you anytime and ask you out, and if you just happen to be busy, you somehow let them down because talking to you is the highlight of their day. I do not like that Niko never puts on his seatbelt, so if you happen to crash into something, you fly right through the window and fuck up your whole groove and lose a whole bunch of health because of it. When I was playing San Andreas, or even Vice City, especially Vice City actually, I can't help but notice how great the music selection from those games were. If I had to think between San Andreas and Vice City, I'd have to say Vice City with this, because when I listen to the radio in Vice City, it's almost as if every single station, every single song that you hear on there is one of those one-hit wonders from that exact same time period. I love the music there because they were good, they were hits, and it really set the tone and mood about where you are and what you're trying to accomplish in that game. The same for San Andreas, really. But in Grand Theft Auto 4, only like maybe 2 songs I can think of that can really set the tone and mood for what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish and what's really generally going on most of the time in the game. Otherwise, every other song in there is pretty piss poor. I mean, really. If I give my honest opinion, Grand Theft Auto 4 has to be the worst when it comes to the music selection. At least for the console versions. I do not like how you cannot dive inside the river and see the fish or sharks that have, or even a dead body that may happen to be in the rivers of Liberty City. Why can't you use a sword? Okay, I think that there was a machete you can use, but why can't you do like San Andreas and find a hidden sword somewhere and then like be a total badass with it? Also, for the melee combat, why can't you learn martial arts like you can in San Andreas? Finally, why can't the game be like San Andreas except Grand Theft Auto 4? I don't know what I expected in Grand Theft Auto 4. I suppose just not this, you know? I gotta give the game some credit. The game does look very beautiful from a lot of aesthetic points, especially when the sun just rises as soon as you got finished killing a fresh batch of hookers. Or how the blood stains on the car are still there after running over hordes of people. And exactly how many people look totally different even when you just sit back and watch them go by. That's a lot of detail. Useless detail that I really couldn't care either way about if it wasn't there. But detailed nonetheless. I gotta give him props on that. And I suppose that's just about it for my final thoughts. Without any further ado, I suppose I have to give the verdict of this game. My verdict for Grand Theft Auto 4 is a 8.9 out of 10. Thanks guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you can thumbs this video up because it would really help the channel a lot. Also, I don't just do reviews, I do lots of cool shit. In fact, you should check out my channel if you just feel bored enough to do that. I also have a real cool choose your own adventure game. I don't want to keep you guys up, so without any further ado, thanks for listening, and as always, enjoy your next video.